Hello and welcome in, race fans, to tonight's event, the very first Scrambler Series Redemption Round race tonight in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Tuesday Night Trucks, it is the penultimate event of the season. It is time to see if any of our playoff drivers are going to win their way back into the Final Four. Joining me alongside, as always, is co-host Tom Richter. How's it going, Tom?
Good evening, Arie. Happy Tuesday to you. I know a lot of drivers are excited to be out here tonight for the second to last race of the regular season. Hard to believe we are 22 of 23 races down. Next week, we're going to crown a champion at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But before we do that, we have questions to answer out here tonight. Names in the tower highlighted green. Those are the remaining championship eligible drivers: Greg Mitchell, Gary Bowman, Matt Semple, and help me out here.
Cody Gibson.
The other one? Cody Gibson, the other championship eligible driver. But they've got some competition out here tonight because there are some eligible drivers that could knock them off the top for next week at Charlotte.
That's right, and highest of those contenders is Eric Anderson in practice, P3 on the board, Brad Holmes P5. All it takes is for one of the drivers highlighted in red to win this race, and no matter what, they are in the Final Four next week. They get to redeem themselves effectively. Now, you can only do it with a win if you're one of the drivers highlighted in red. So if one of those drivers don't win, it doesn't change a thing. But if they do, Tom, that means out of those in green, you don't want to be the lowest finishing of those four, because you could find what was once a locked-in spot. Now you're on the outside looking in.
It is, so it's absolutely kind of like an elimination race like we've been doing, but it could also be a non-elimination. And that's the great unknown about the redemption round out here this evening. And of course, we have to do it in Brooklyn, Michigan, where the draft is strong and the tires are going to wear. Michigan, Arie, I think we ourselves have seen the challenges that Michigan has provided, and a lot of times it's resulted in some pretty big wrecks throughout the years.
Yeah, it has. It's a very interesting track, really unlike most anything else on the schedule, even something like an auto club, which it's usually compared to. It's a really unique challenge, and one thing that I've noticed throughout the practice hour here is it seems like now more than ever, especially with these truck series trucks, these drivers are running the higher lines. Usually you'll see a lot more going on towards the bottom of the track, like what we see with Brad Holmes right here, but in packs and on longer runs, I've seen a lot of drivers using the top half of the racetrack, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, we'll see how these drivers choose to race this race out here tonight. First stage is scheduled for 18 laps. And then stage number 2 going to be lap number 40 where it ends. So 18 laps and then probably about 20 green flag laps before we see the second stage. Just enough time for tires to start to wear. But then I think the big question mark past that, Arie, is going to be stage 3. We know that drivers get about 24, 26 laps of fuel. That kind of puts us right on the window for maybe a one-stop race towards the end.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if anyone decides that that's going to be a gamble worth taking. Maybe if you're one of the drivers eligible to get through with a win, if you're highlighted in red, I'm going to be looking at those guys to be pulling some crazy strategies out here tonight if the opportunity presents itself, much like what we saw Ed Jurgen use back in Richmond to keep himself in the hunt just a little longer. So who knows? It's a great big unknown, and I'm excited for it. This is going to be a great track for it.
It's funny that you say that, because I was talking with one of the redemption drivers, Eric Anderson, before tonight's race, and he said, I hope you got a pen and paper, put it down, write it down, tell the 92 I am not pitting before him. So the 43 has not forgotten how Richmond shook out for him. Closing seconds in opening practice, Greg Mitchell the fastest, Andy Cork second fastest, and Eric Anderson the top 3 as practice comes to a close out here tonight.
I tell you what, those graybeard guys got something figured out as of recently. They've had a lot of speed in practice and qualifying, particularly. It's been pretty cool to see.
Yeah, Andy was fast last week. I think he started second last week and had a pretty good run going last week as well. So we're going to see how they line up tonight. But before we do that, we got 5 minutes, 2 laps to set the field as we wait for drivers to make their way down onto pit road. Here on a Tuesday night, who we got lighting up? We've got the 92 lighting up, and Mr. Ed Jurgen is going to be coming out of the pits first.
Sporting a brand new paint scheme out here this week for the Jurgen's Lawn Care machine in that 92. Not a paint scheme we see change all that often, so I was kind of surprised to see that Ed was breaking out a brand new paint scheme, but looking good out there on track.
Well, you know, the fun part about that is I was talking to Ed before, and he said, well, I forgot we were switching to the O'Reilly cars next season, and I was getting my paint scheme ready, and I guess he did it on the trucks, and now he's got some work in front of him to get that onto an Xfinity car.
That he does, but I'm sure it'll look good there as well. We're going to see what Jurgen can do through 3 and 4 here on the warm-up lap, coming to the first of 2. Probably that second lap is going to be the one that is the hot lap for most of these drivers, the one that'll set their ultimate time, but we'll see what we can do after riding the high line through 3 and 4.
Other names out on track right now: Eric Anderson, Gary Bowman, Matt Semple, Brad Holmes, Mike Stiverson, all drivers trying to find their way back into the championship 4. Looking for a good qualifying spot. I think Michigan, it's very difficult to pass here as the run goes along. It's going to be very difficult to make the passes on the bottom, so a qualifying position so important here tonight. And Ed Jurgen looking to put that 92 up towards the top of the charts in these next 4.5 minutes. We'll see where that 92 goes after he crosses the start-finish line this time.
Yeah, I think tonight's going to be maybe the biggest track position race of the entire season. Let's see what Jurgen does across the line in that 92 for the first time by P3 on the board. Matt Semple provisionally on pole in that 16, but the second lap is where it counts.
Second lap, he's going to bring that 92 Chevy Silverado down to the yellow line, slide up in turns 1 and 2. You're going to see drivers using that maybe throughout the course of a restart or something when the tires are still good. Because a lot of ways, Arie, if you put that tire all the way down there, the track is so wide that you almost kill the momentum and the RPMs on the corner exit if you bring it all the way down to the white line.
Yeah, you got to be a little careful about how you're doing it on these really wide tracks with entry, with exit, and how much you're going to be scrubbing the tires or not. Across the line, hits that bump right there, does Ed, but at the line, it's going to be P3 still. Matt Semple, top of the board at the moment. We're going to jump over for the ending of Mike Stiverson's run.
Second lap about to be on the books for the 20 Toyota Tundra. Mike Stiverson going to jump up to 7th place, make it 8th place as more drivers come across the line. Eric Anderson, one of the drivers looking to win his way back into championship contention, is good enough for 4th. And we're going to take a look at Dustin Ping, who is just completed his first lap and is 8th.
8th on the board after 1 lap. Casey Tomlinson jumps up to 7th after 1 lap. There's a little bit of a surprise in speed to see, but as we watch the 81 of Dustin Ping into turn 3 right here, here's a driver that I think we all expected to have a win this season by now. He had one last season in Chicagoland, but this season just hasn't been able to break through. He made the Scrambler Series, got eliminated early, and maybe, just maybe, he can get it going in the right direction before the season is over.
Second lap for Dustin Ping, not going to be an improvement. He is going to hold in 9th place as Casey Tomlinson finishes his second lap at the start-finish line. Looks like second lap is going to hold 8th place here. Andrew Caldwell, one of the drivers highlighted in red, one of the redemption drivers, needs a win here tonight, and he will find himself in championship contention next week. Second lap for Caldwell going to be good enough for 13th, but here comes the 1.
Here comes the 1 and a provisional pole sitter with a time of 39.707, 4 1,000ths of a second ahead of second place, Matt Semple at the line.
Lee Campbell completes his second lap. He is going to get a 14th place qualifying, as it looks like we've got one additional driver out on an active track right now. Greg Mitchell waiting until the last possible second, trying to see if that track was going to cool down. First time by was 24th out of 25 times.
All right, Greg Mitchell, he's been on a tear as of late. One of the favorites for the championship this season, still in the hunt in that Final Four so long as he does not finish the lowest out of the 4, and one of the others doesn't win. Across the line for the 55 on the second time, it's going to be good enough for P7.
7th place for Greg Mitchell. I was talking with him earlier this week, and he was saying, I really need to work on my qualifying efforts out here. And he does that tonight. He's going to qualify 7th, as all the drivers have completed their 2 laps. 2 drivers elected not to take a qualifying position. That's going to be Phil Van Vliet and Frank DiMaggio, as we wait to see the checkered flag over qualifying here in just a second.
Alrighty then, drivers have gotten a little bit of the nerves out of the way with that qualifying session done and wrapped up, especially when you know it's going to be such a track position based race. It can get to be the most intensive part of the evening, even more so than any part in the race, that 2-lap qualifying segment. But here we go then. Let's officially set the grid for tonight's event in the Redemption Round, penultimate event of the season. here in the Tuesday Night Thunder Series. On pole, it's going to be Cody Gibson, one of our final 4 contenders, and alongside him on the front row, another one of our contenders in Matt Semple in the 16. P3 is going to be Brad Holmes, followed by Ed Jurgen in 4th, and Eric Anderson rounds out the top 5. 6th is Jason Raymond, ahead of Greg Mitchell in 7th. Chris Rose is 8th, Casey Tomlinson starts 9th, and Dustin Ping rounds out the top 10.
11th place belongs to Gary Bowman out here, one of our final 4 drivers. Mike Stuyvesant in 12th. Brian Dorsey is going to qualify 13th in the qualifying session out here tonight. Andrew Caldwell in 14th with Lee Campbell rounding out the top 15. Steven Music in that 09 starts 16th out here with Chris Letts directly behind him. Tanner Marr in the number 4 Five Kings Motorsports entry starts 18th. Larry Bell and Nathan Dufton the top 20.
In 21st, it's going to be Andy Cork starting ahead of Dave Gainforth in P22. Logan Spencer starts off in 23rd. Tito Todorov in 24th. P25 is going to be Brad Collins, and shotgun on the field, the 2 of Frank DiMaggio and Philip Van Vliet.
All right, Arie, so the field is set for 100 laps of racing out here tonight. Stage 1 going to be lap number 18, and then stage 2 ends at lap number 40, so drivers have their work cut out in front of them. For some of these drivers here tonight, the job is simple. Go out there and win the race. For others, not so much.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna make for a really interesting time out here when the drivers who are in a must-win situation outnumber those who are not at this point in the race. Though I tell you what, the championship contenders have come out here and made a statement, sweeping the front row with half of their numbers. I'm going to be really interested to see here at the beginning of stage 1 what the aggression level looks like, especially for those drivers who are highlighted in red, those drivers who know that they need to go up there and they need to win the race at all costs. Are they going to be in a rush to get themselves in good track position? Are they going to be taking it easy, trying to survive? 100 laps in Michigan is a long time.
It certainly is, and thank you for spending a Tuesday night with us, watching these drivers continue their hunt for a championship. We've got 100 laps to find out who's going to be our final 4 at Charlotte Motor Speedway next week from Brooklyn, Michigan. Arie, let's go racing for the 22nd time of the season in the redemption round in the Tuesday Night Thunder Championship Series. Cody Gibson and Matt Semple are going to be bringing us to the green flag.
Pace car is going to take that hard left-hand turn off of the racing surface, and for the first time tonight, that green flag is ready, and it'll be waving any second now. Cody Gibson going to hit that loud pedal from the inside in control of this field. Everyone gets off the grid nice and good, and down into turn 1 we roar.
Into turn number 1, Cody Gibson's going to have about a half a truck length lead. He's got Matt Semple fighting for position already up on the outside for second place. Brad Holmes sticks the nose of that Ford F-150 down onto the inside of driver number 16. But by the time they exit turn number 2 for the first lap, Cody Gibson with the lead.
Cody Gibson with the lead down the back straightaway, getting a little bit of a draft is Matt Semple in P2. He is going to be just clear of teammate Brad Holmes to the inside. He's going to look down all the way to the apron.
Onto the apron, the 0-0 goes, but behind them you got a flurry of cars. You got 3 wide back here. Eric Anderson stuck in the middle position here with Chris Rose and Dustin up on the outside of that 43. Drivers just getting started out here this evening. Brad Holmes is able to pull up alongside of the 1 Chevy Silverado with Cody Gibson and try to battle for the race lead down into turn number 1.
Side by side out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway we go. It's going to be a bit of a drag race. Going to use that side draft down the middle of the back. Does the 0-0. Maybe a little bit of contact. These drivers keep it good. Down into turn 3. Brad Holmes sends it down on that painted yellow line one more time. He has been hugging the inside all the way around up to this point. He got a big push from teammate Matt Semple the lap before. He is going to clear the nose of the 1. Cody Gibson down to the inside, but at the line, it's Brad Holmes.
It's a crossover for the race lead. Cody Gibson got passed in turn number 3, and he says, you're not going to take it away just like that. Cody Gibson slides down to the inside into turns 1 and 2. Brad Holmes up on the outside, and I do think that the outside is eventually going to become the preferred position, Arie, in terms of defense, but it's a matter of how long can you make that bottom line.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, and here's something that I didn't expect to see. A driver up 8 positions this early in the running. Dustin Ping in that 81 is on a mission, started in the back half of the top 10, and is already battling for the race lead to the inside of the 0-0.
To the inside goes Dustin Ping. Now Cody Gibson's going to slot back about 2 truck lanes, still running in third, but the battle for the race lead is on. Dustin Ping looking to go from 10th to first in just 3 laps of racing out here tonight. Dustin's going to be able to clear himself on the corner exit, but Brad Holmes going to have a little bit of wall contact on the corner exit number 2, but we all carry on without issue.
There it is then, just a little bit of aero shenanigans going on up towards the front. Brad Holmes going to lose a couple of spots right there. Cody Gibson getting buried in traffic at the moment, as now Jason Raymond has gone up to P2, Ed Jurgen in P3. These drivers are shuffling around a lot more than we're used to seeing here at Michigan.
They certainly are, and you got to wonder how much of this is the nerves of the championship being on the line out here tonight. Drivers that were eliminated from championship contention are going for it with Dustin Ping, and now Jason Raymond. Jason Raymond going to be up 5 spots, so multiple drivers up multiple spots here early going in tonight's Cheetos 200.
Down into turn number 3, then it's going to be Jason Raymond leading the way in that 49. A driver known for short track racing is going to come out here to one of the biggest tracks we race on and go take the lead early on, up 5 positions from where he started. This 5 Kings Motorsports driver is going to lead for the first time.
Let's not take a look now, Arie, but you got that 92 Ed Jurgen. Ed Jurgen was eliminated at Pocono Raceway a couple of weeks ago and looks to win his way back into championship contention. He's already made his way up to a battle for second place with the 81 of Dustin Ping, but Jason Raymond has stepped away by about 3 truck lengths here on the backstretch, working lap number 6.
It's been a great start to the race for some of these guys up towards the front at the moment. Cody Gibson still lurking back here in the top 5 after starting on pole and leading for the first little bit. Brad Holmes going to get another wiggle in the middle of turn 3 and 4 right there. He's going to lose another spot to Cody Gibson and drop out of the top 5 maybe entirely as Matt Semple comes through as well. Looks like that 00 is really starting to struggle with the handle.
Yeah, I heard some drivers earlier tonight talking about that if you had somebody right up on the tailgate going down into the corner, especially on the low side, it gets the truck very loose, very hard to handle, as Ed Jurgen and Dustin Ping going to come very close together on the exit of corner number 2, but carry on with that issue. But these drivers have already expressed issues with handling on these trucks out here tonight on corner entry.
I tell you what, I think we saw a little bit of that between the 92 and the 81. Dustin Ping getting really loose out of 2 that last time by, as Ed Jurgen was all over his rear bumper. Here we are, everyone getting spread out just a little bit more, nose to tail, all the way down the front straightaway. You got to go back to about P7 before the first side-by-side action.
Cody Gibson looks to have settled into about the 4th place running position, as he's now maybe taking a look at 3rd place for Ed Jurgen. Was bleeding a couple of spots earlier in the opening laps, but has found footing up inside the top 5. First side-by-side battle we got on track is Eric Anderson and Brad Holmes and Mike Stuyvesant up here for about the 6th, 7th place running position.
3 turns, 3 and 4 we go. Everyone getting a little dice here at this point. Dustin Ping might be looking for another opportunity to go up there and take the race lead. He's got to hurry because Ed Jurgen is coming in a hurry. And here we ride on board right now with Chris Rose, driver up a couple spots from where he started. He's cracking into the top 5.
And you can just see here, Arie, the amount of options that these drivers have is so limited. Now, couple that with if there's an issue and they need to get out of the gas and they need to avoid something here, not many places to go once you start having 2 and 3 wide racing all around you here. He's got, I want to say Matt Semple is still to his inside down here, but the options get very limited very quick for these drivers.
Yeah, they certainly do. And now down the front straightaway we go. We can see a little bit of that drafting game in action. Everyone up on the high side. Brad Holmes, Matt Semple side by side. We're 3 wide just behind.
Eric Anderson stuck in the middle with Mike Stuyvesant on the outside, Greg Mitchell on the inside, as they look to march their way forward. This is a battle for the 8th place position, and they still remain side by side on the exit of turn number 2 with Steven Music directly in the wings.
That 3 wide battle is finally going to see itself come to an end there as Eric Anderson slides back into sight. And here we go then through 3 and 4 all the way up towards the wall. Ed Jurgen defending P3 from Cody Gibson, who's looking to make a charge back up towards the front. Jurgen's going to give a big bump to Dustin Ping down the front straightaway. Can Ping get there before turn 1?
8 laps to go in stage number 1, and Dustin Ping looking to get a stage win out here tonight, but in order to do that, he's got to get around driver number 49 directly in front of him and hold off multiple drivers behind him, with the first one he sees in his mirror being Ed Jurgen, as we have just a handful of laps to go in stage number 1. Mike Stuyvesant a couple of car lanes back, looking to advance his position on Brad Holmes, but up front it's still Jason Raymond and Dustin Ping for the lead.
That it is up front. The top two going to be taking the bottom. The next two going to be taking the outside. A lot of variation in the different racing grooves that these drivers are choosing to use at the moment. A lot of it's going to come down to when you catch the guy in front of you and how much drafting help you have. But at this point, we're sitting here about 12 laps into this race. These drivers are going to be feeling these tires for certain. They're not as worn out as they might start to feel a little later on in the race, but we're at the point now where you can't just put the truck wherever you want to.
Yeah, this is about the time of the race, Arie, and about the time of the run. The tire degradation starts to come into effect. So anybody who was pushing really hard early in this stage, you may start to see slide around just a little bit. Jason Raymond has a battle for the race lead as Dustin Ping's on the inside through 3 and 4. If they don't get this figured out here quickly, this could become a 3-wide battle for the race lead with Ed Jurgen.
It could very well. Ed Jurgen thinking about where to go. Going to stick on the outside here, but caution is out before we reach turn 1. Issues for Dave Gainforth in the 101 by the looks of it. Some pretty significant damage on the right front of that machine. Possible issues as well for Lee Campbell. We're going to go ahead and queue up a replay right here and see if we can't see what happened. Looks like already slow right here. Let's see if we can't go back a little further maybe. And see what happened between these two. Watching the 60 and the 101. We got Logan Spencer in the 19 there. We're going to slow it down just a little bit. Looks like Dave Gainforth gets loose on corner exit as the 60's coming up the track. Lee Campbell there. And those two just come together at the worst possible time. That's going to send Dave Gainforth into the outside wall. Completely destroy the suspension on that truck right there. That is going to take quite a while to get fixed right there. That was a pretty awful hit to witness. We're going to see if we can't take another look at it. And I almost want to say, if we can get caught up right here to where it happened. I almost want to say we might get a good shot from the turn 2 exit right here based on when this incident happens. We're going to wait for most of the field to go by. And then in this pack right here, we're going to see Dave Gainforth get into that outside wall. You could see just how hard he hits it in that right front. Going to completely break away the fender, that suspension, that tire's wobbling. You see the debris left behind in the wake. Potential race-ending incident for the 101. And some damage for sure that the 60 of Lee Campbell is going to be wanting to get fixed as well. Back up front with the race leaders now, looking to see if anybody is going to elect to pit right here. We may have reached the stage designation, as a matter of fact, with the timing of this yellow. We were kind of right on the number, so I'll wait and I'll check with Tom once Tom is back up in here. But everyone down on pit road at the moment. Jason Raymond leading the entire field. Just to confirm with you, Tom, did we or did we not make the designation there?
Yep, that was a little bit of the delay there. Yeah, this is a designation caution here. So kind of like what we saw at Pocono a couple of weeks ago, we will have some extended caution laps out here. Drivers informed that they can come down multiple times for fuel if they elect to. But now that kind of builds into stage number 2 laps here, Arie. Under caution, it's probably not too big of an issue, but it brings us closer than what we were.
It does. It brings us a lot closer to that fuel window number, and we might be in a spot where drivers are going to be having to save a little bit of fuel to make it to the end of stage 2. If you could save that fuel, have that track position going into stage 3, that could make a world of a difference at a track like this. As it sits, everyone makes their way off of pit road at the moment. Frank DiMaggio in the lead, however, did not stop during the time down pit road right there. So maybe the 24 are going to come back down around next time, which would give it back to Jason Raymond in the 49 and Ed Jurgen in the 92.
Taking a look here, lights are still on the pace car. They're going to be illuminated for another couple of laps as we have an extended caution here for the end of stage number 1. Frank DiMaggio expects to see him likely come down pit road this time by, as he did come down pit road but did not stop in his box, as Arie had said. But he's going to actually stay out here.
All right, interesting call from the 24. Going to stay out, and well, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, Tom. Given we're starting stage 2 right here, hasn't taken any tires since the start of the race. I'm a little puzzled.
Well, I guess Frank knows that we're going to have an extended yellow here, right? So perhaps just getting some laps led. We do know that next time we go green, it's going to be the beginning of stage number 2. The drivers do have 5 tire changes out here tonight, so I can't imagine the tires are going to be very important in terms of saving a set, because they're already going to have an extra set or 2. So we'll see what that 24 is thinking here underneath this yellow flag.
I guess we will, but for the meantime, we're going to continue circulating until the scheduled end of stage number 1, given that we hit that designation just about right on the first possible number that we could have. As it sits in the running order, it's going to be Frank DiMaggio leading this race. Jason Raymond is P2, was leading before that yellow came out. We've got Ed Jurgen in 3rd. Cody Gibson, our pole sitter, runs in 4th. And driver who's gone up to the lead a couple times, Dustin Ping, he currently sits P5.
One of the drivers that have been going the wrong way to start tonight's race is Matt Semple. Started up on the front row, back in 7th place here underneath this yellow flag, maybe 8th place once they get figured out where they need to be exactly. But a couple of drivers going in the wrong way out here tonight. Brad Holmes, one of those drivers, is he's also down to 22nd. Brad Holmes just has one job to do out here tonight, and that is to win the race.
It absolutely is. The same could be said for a number of these drivers out here. We are going to see some drivers electing to come down and top off on fuel, this time by Frank DiMaggio in the 24 leads that group. Andy Cork, Larry Bell, Brad Holmes, Theodore Todorov all down on pit road at the moment, as well as Casey Tomlinson and Lee Campbell. I believe it'll be one more extended lap after this one to get us up to where we need to be to start stage number 2. On this extension, Jason Raymond up there probably just happy to be logging some free laps led at this moment. A lot of these drivers might be thinking about their fuel situation going forward here in stage 2. Some drivers may be cutting the engines off, maybe clutching a little bit, trying to make sure that they can stretch it all the way to lap 40. You can hear a good mix of some of these engines running, some of them not so much. And of course, we know there's a group of drivers who have been electing to top off to make sure that they're good. Chris Lett's going to come down pit road this time by. Frank DiMaggio again down on pit road. Brad Holmes again. Excuse me, Brad Holmes stays out this time. A couple of drivers continuing to fill it up with gas just to make sure they're good. All right, then. Jason Raymond in control of the restart here. Lights are out on that pace car. We're going to be restarting this time around. By the looks of it, Jason Raymond's going to be... Excuse me. Nope, lights are back out on the pace car one more time around before Jason Raymond can bring us to the green flag from the outside lane right there on the restart. Ed Jurgen on that front row right there. Ed Jurgen, a driver who can absolutely go up here and win his way into the finale.
Yeah, Arie, I like the position that Ed Jurgen has put himself in. He was aggressive in stage number 1, found his way up towards the front of the field, and is going to be restarting for stage number 2 on the front row. I do like the position that he's put himself in. Give yourself the opportunity to get some clean air on that Chevy Silverado and see where the cards may fall, see which lane may go. And really, on a restart here, you can use the bottom here because the tires are still pretty good.
Yeah, you absolutely can use the bottom. I think it's going to be in play for maybe, I don't know if I'll say half of this run under green, but a little less than half of the run for the first part. You'll be able to use that. And we saw it at the start of the race, too. Drivers like Brad Holmes, drivers like Dustin Ping were going down there, making up a lot of positions on that inside line early on in the run. The trade-off is, of course, you don't want to be using up too much of your stuff for that longer back portion.
All right, lights are extinguished. Drivers have been notified that that we will be going green flag racing at the end of this lap here, as we have passed the threshold for stage number 1. Otherwise, we would have seen a quick yellow flag. That's just one of those things that we have to work around here in stage racing, in iRacing. But these drivers getting set to begin stage number 2, which is going to be until lap number 40.
All right, then, drivers buckling down, getting ready for some more racing action. A little bit of an extended break under a yellow right here. Drivers are done circulating around. They're going to get ready to hit those loud pedals one more time. On the outside, our race leader, Jason Raymond, going to lead us to the green here. On the inside, Ed Jurgen. Row 2 is going to consist of Dustin Ping on the inside, Cody Gibson on the outside. We then have Matt Semple on the inside and Eric Anderson, third driver, on the outside for this restart. Good mix of drivers who are in contention and drivers who need to win their way into the finale.
We're about to find out how stage 2 plays out here with Ed Jurgen on the inside, Jason Raymond behind the iRacing.com pace car. Pace car is getting ready to make that hard left-hand turn down onto pit road, and away it goes. Ed Jurgen, Jason Raymond, front row, going to bring us into the restart zone for the beginning of stage number 2 out here. We are back green flag racing at Michigan.
Here we go then, on to the loud pedal we go, up the speed towards turn 1. Jason Raymond in the lead, going to give the advantage to teammate Cody Gibson just behind, who's going to come from second on the outside to be second overall down into turn number 1.
Ed Jurgen's going to lose 1, maybe 2 or 3 spots here by the time we exit turn number 2. Matt Semple following in the wake of the number 1 of Cody Gibson. Dustin Ping's going to jump up and try to find that draft, as well as Eric Anderson and more.
Down into turn 3 we go then. Jason Raymond in control of this race at the moment. Ed Jurgen trying to stop the bleeding, find a rhythm, and make his way back forward. Currently down at P5 and looking to lose that to Eric Anderson.
Eric Anderson on the move out here tonight. Driver that needs to win tonight's race in order to move on to the championship event at Charlotte Motor Speedway in just 1 week's time here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Mike Stiverson also up here trying to push the 43 forward. Up front, it's still Jason Raymond, but he's got Cody Gibson not too far behind, maybe about a truck and a half length behind him. And third place belongs to Matt Semple, as we've got 3 wide down the backstretch with the 32, or the 92, 81, and the 20.
Here we go then. Chris Rose giving a big push to the 92 of Ed Jurgen down into turn 3 in that 3-wide situation. Ed Jurgen going to clip the apron just a little bit. Coming out of turn 4, these drivers still trying to figure out where they need to get settled, but they are going to settle there. Most of the drivers running that outside line all the way up against that wall.
Yeah, and that's gonna, once those drivers start running that outside lane, you kind of need to have a friend to let you back into place here, as Ed Jurgen may have an opportunity to slide back up in front of the 81 on corner exit here. Looks like he's going to be able to do that down the backstretch, and he's going to be able to slot into the 6th place running position. Up front, Jason Raymond that distance has evaporated between 1st and 2nd place. Cody Gibson all over the back of that 49 silver.
Looks like this time by Jason Raymond going to take a slightly different lane, try and pull that gap a little bit. Both of these Five Kings drivers have gapped 3rd place. Matt Semple, who has gotten himself back up into the conversation. He had fallen a lot in that first run. Now looking to position himself a lot better here for stage number 2, and we're nearly 3 wide again back there for P4.
Mike Stiverson in the middle of that 3-wide situation. Ed Jurgen and Eric Anderson, 3 drivers that need to win out here tonight. Dustin Ping also throwing his name in the hat to move that 81 forward. We're going to race side by side down into turn number 3. None of these drivers giving yield.
None of these drivers giving an inch to one another at the moment. They know just how important that track position is, and for drivers like the 92, like the 43, like the 20, these are drivers that need to win this race to get themselves locked into that finale next week in Charlotte. They will be doing anything they can to make sure that they are going to be the ones who get up there to the lead.
You see on board here with Greg Mitchell, we were talking before about the options becoming limited, and they certainly are limited right now, as Dustin Ping on the inside, Greg Mitchell up on the outside following Mike Stiverson. Matt Semple's going to go around directly off the nose of the 92 in turn 3, but we stay green flag racing
Somehow, some way, we stay green flag racing. These drivers keep it out of the wall, keep it out of any other drivers, as the 92 and 16 got together and checked up most of the field. But as it sits, everyone back into a rhythm, back into a groove. Matt Semple's tires are not going to be happy at that one. Jason Raymond continues to lead now ahead of Cody Gibson, Eric Anderson, Mike Stiverson, and Greg Mitchell, the top 5. But now everyone's spread out significantly more.
That's the kind of moment, Arie, that could very well have ended Matt Semple's night. And then from there, you're sitting on the sidelines and you're watching other people control your destiny for next week's championship race. So Matt Semple does a nice job of hanging on to that 16 Silverado and continuing his night out here tonight. But that was a very close moment for one of our contenders.
That was a close moment for a bunch of the field, given where we were right at the kind of entry point of the corner right there. That's the kind of incident that can take out a quarter of the field in the blink of an eye. So kudos to these drivers here for making their way through without that being any worse than it needed to be. Back up front, Cody Gibson continuing to hound the rear bumper of teammate Jason Raymond. But I tell you what, Jason Raymond has not been laying over by any means. I think that 49 has seen that one truck win enough, and he wants one of his own.
Yeah, Jason Raymond would be looking for his first career Cyber Thunder Racing League win here tonight if he's able to hang on to it. Long way to go, over 70 laps of racing, but Jason Raymond, one of many drivers, looking for his first win in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. The top 4 have separated after that on-track incident a lap ago. It's Jason Raymond, Cody Gibson, Eric Anderson, and Mike Stiverson, all within a half a second of each other, and you got to go about a second and a half back before you find Greg Mitchell in 5th.
Here we are then, Mike Stiverson to the inside of Eric Anderson, battle for P3 on track. Eric's going to run all the way up the track in that 43. He's going to get cleared by the 20 of Stiverson, move the 20 up to P3 now. Let's see what he can do with the race leaders.
Mike Stiverson up 9 positions from his qualifying effort. The question mark, though, in the back of my mind, Arie, is these drivers weren't expecting to have to save for stage number 2 in terms of fuel. With those extended laps here, are any of these drivers close? We know they can make about 25 laps or so, and with the caution laps, they're going to be going just about that.
Yeah, I think if you were one of the drivers who was conscious of it and saving a little bit under yellow, you're going to be fine. If you're one of the drivers who didn't even think of that, you might be close enough to your number that it's going to cross your mind just a little bit right here as we see Jason Raymond get a little loose and go up there and brush the outside wall. That's going to bring both Cody Gibson and Mike Stiverson closer to him down into turn 1.
Eric Anderson going to follow the inside lane and try to push the 20 past Cody Gibson. Through the apex of turns 1 and 2, Cody Gibson going to have the momentum on the corner exit and protect that second place position from Mike Stiverson in 3rd. But Eric Anderson still close and within striking distance to the entire top 4, all under a blanket here within 0.3 of a second.
That they are. Mike Stiverson running all the way down on that yellow line. Had a good run in the entry of the corner, couldn't make it stick through the middle. He's going to lose out P3 back to Eric Anderson in the 43, who's going to be pulling up close to the race leaders.
Anderson makes his way around Stiverson on the exit of corner number 4, and now Eric's going to set his sights on second place Cody Gibson as Mike Stiverson's going to lose a couple of truck lengths by the time we exit corner number 2. But up front is still Jason Raymond. Jason, maybe not a name here that I expected to see leading tonight's race early in the going, Arie.
No, certainly not. I think Jason Raymond has been the big shock of the night so far. I mentioned it earlier, but a driver that we usually think of for being a short track racer comes out here to Michigan, and all of a sudden, he looks like he does this week in and week out, comes up here and leads laps and contends for wins. So maybe a renewed Jason Raymond, maybe something clicked, maybe he learned something in practice, whatever the case, that 49 is on a roll.
He absolutely is, and it's a little bit more comforting when you got a teammate directly behind you. You guys can kind of work together a little bit and kind of figure out where the other is going to go, but when you're racing this close, sometimes that's not always an option. But Jason Raymond still leads over Cody Gibson. Eric Anderson in 3rd, Stiverson in 4th. Dustin Ping has made his way around Greg Mitchell for the top 5 running position.
All right, battle heating up for P2. Eric Anderson wants it away from Cody Gibson. This is allowing Jason Raymond to pull away in the lead as we run across the line right there. It's going to be 9 laps to go in stage number 2. Stuyvesant going to try and help out the 43 down into turn number 1. We go. Gibson holding strong on the outside.
It's something that these drivers are going to have to think about and weigh throughout the course of tonight's race, right? Does Mike Stuyvesant help Eric Anderson over one of the Championship 4 drivers highlighted in green out here? For me, I think whichever lane is moving faster, that's the lane that I'm going to go with. But I'm also going to be putting that into the mind of myself as well, is that if the 43 wins tonight's race, it's going to take out one of the championship drivers in green.
Yeah, it's a hard position to be in, and I don't think there's really a wrong answer right there, but I tend to agree with you on that one, Tom. I'm going to take whichever line benefits me the most, regardless of what's going on with everyone else in the race. I think it's a pretty clear situation at this moment, you know, whether you're one of the Championship 4 or if you are one of the drivers trying to win your way in. At the end of the day, you just need to go up there and win it yourself, and everything else is taken care of.
While this battle for the race lead continues to stay where it has been for multiple laps, Cody Gibson still running in second. Eric Anderson going to slide pretty high in turn number 3. That's going to allow the 20 Toyota Tundra of Stuyvesant to get down onto the inside. Battle for third place heating up at the start-finish line as we see 7 laps to go in stage number 2 as it starts to come close to an end.
We are then 7 to go in stage number 2. The tires are going to be feeling it at this point in the run. We're not quite to the point where we're going to see some heavy fuel saving from those who are on their number, but something to keep in the back of your mind as we continue to watch this battle for P3 right now. Mike Stuyvesant, Eric Anderson, they're having a whale of a time just continually going back and forth, crossing each other over, trying to get that third spot away. They want to be up there with a chance to make up a spot or two under the pit flag, the pit stop sequence that's going to be happening under the yellow flag.
And I tell you what, Arie, the difference between having the option to start on the front row and starting in row number 2 for this upcoming restart is going to be huge. But I would like to start up on the outside lane here. So if I can't win the stage, then maybe being 4th here or 2nd would be the best option here for the stage 3 restart and the final run to lap number 100.
It's an interesting thought that you got right there. I think on the restart, if I'm up towards the front, I still want to be on the bottom just because you'll get spread out just a little bit up towards the front. If I'm a little further back in the pack, I probably would agree with you there on choosing the outside. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out because, of course, you know, the stage can end and you could, you know, maybe have yourself positioned nicely right where you want yourself, but you still got to make the pit stops, and you never know what's going to happen when that shuffles.
Yeah, the counter to that is that we saw Ed start up on the inside on the front row and lose multiple spots. Ed is back in 7th throughout stage number 2, so we're going to have to see how it plays out here within the stage designation. 5 laps to go. Jason Raymond going to come across and lead another lap here as we complete lap number 36.
That 49 truck quickly chasing down most lapslide in tonight's event has gotten up to the lead and has not let anybody else take it back since that 49 got up there. Currently in control of the race with 4 laps remaining in stage number 2 at the moment. Working lap 37 out of 100 total in tonight's event. Looking back at just how spread out the field is at the moment. We've got a group of 4 up here in front. You got to go a second back till you get to Dustin Ping, Greg Mitchell. You got to go another 2.5 seconds. You get to a pack of 4. Another 2 seconds. You get to the bulk of the field back there, pack of about 8 or 9. So this field is very broken up at the moment, and I think once we get put back together for the start of stage 3, there's going to be a lot of ANSI drivers who are itching and ready to be back in the action.
Absolutely. Jason Raymond still holding and protecting that position, but the battle for 3rd has swapped positions multiple times over the past couple of laps. Mike Stuyvesant now in front of the 43 as we see the closing laps in stage number 2. Dustin Ping still runs in 5th. Greg Mitchell still following in 6th. Those drivers have been moving around just a little bit. Brad Holmes, one of the drivers who stopped multiple times on this most recent yellow flag. He's got 2 additional laps of fuel and is up to 7th.
All right, then at the line this time, it's going to be 2 laps to go in stage number 2. Popsicle 6 in the air. That small pack of Dustin Ping and Greg Mitchell, they have caught the draft of this top 4. They're going to be in the picture, but not close enough with the time remaining. The question now is, can Jason Raymond hold on to win stage number 2, or does Cody Gibson have something for him?
Cody Gibson's going to have maybe 1 or 2 more attempts at trying to steal the stage win away from his 5 Kings Motorsports teammate, Jason Raymond, as they come down into turn number 3. Gibson's going to run a little bit high. Jason's starting to run a little bit higher now in that 49. And when you start to move around on lines, it can sometimes disrupt your routine and your rhythm that you've built over the last 20 laps. But we got 2 miles of racing to figure out stage number 2.
All right, here we go then. We've seen this all through stage 2. Jason Raymond dives a lot lower into the corner than what Cody Gibson likes to do from P2. Gibson's going to get a huge run down the back straightaway. Is that run going to be strong enough before we get to turn 3? We know Gibson likes to take that outside line and carry the momentum. He is going to do the same thing right here. Raymond dives down the track. He's going to come back up, wash across the front bumper of that one truck, and get him in that wake just a little bit all the way to the line. He should be safe.
Jason Raymond going to lead at the start-finish line. Dustin Ping has made his way around Eric Anderson. That's big because now that puts Eric Anderson in row number 3, assuming that no positions change on pit road, and that puts you in a whole different mindset.
That it does, as the caution officially flies for the second stage end of the evening. Jason Raymond, driver 49, is going to win this stage ahead of teammate Cody Gibson. Mike Stiverson in 3rd, Dustin Ping in 4th, Eric Anderson P5 on track. Greg Mitchell scores some stage points in 6th, Brad Holmes in 7th, Ed Jurgen runs in 8th ahead of Tanner Marr in 9th, and rounding out the top 10, Andrew Caldwell. Oh, by the way, Tom, Matt Semple, who we saw nearly have a night ender earlier on in stage 2, made his way all the way back up to P11 by the end of stage 2. Pace car is going to catch... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say Fields picking up the pace car in turns 1 and 2 as everybody starts to come to a pace speed behind that iRacing.com pace car. Under caution for the second time out here tonight. 1 caution for incident ended stage number 1. Stage 2 won by Jason Raymond, and these drivers set to go racing for the longest run of the night. A little bit longer in stage 3 tonight than these drivers are usually accustomed to. It's usually about half of the race, but by the time we go green, we're going to see a little bit more than that.
That we will. It's about to be quite the interesting stage 3 run to the finish. At this point, no more guaranteed yellows. So we've made it not quite halfway through this race, but nearing it, and these drivers now have an even bigger task ahead of them. Got to nail this pit stop, got to get ready for what could be green flag all the way to the finish line through at least one green flag pit sequence to the end, if not more. Here we go down pit road, then Jason Raymond's going to lead the entire field for 4 fresh tires.
55 miles an hour, that's what drivers need to adhere to and make sure that they are not going over. You cannot slide the box here, as that will severely hurt your pit time. We're going to see all these drivers come down for 4 fresh Goodyears and get set to begin stage number 3. Race leader Jason Raymond comes onto pit road. Cody Gibson comes on pit road in 2nd. We'll see where they come out.
All right, everyone pulling into their boxes. No obvious mistakes from what I can see at the moment. Peeling off of pit road now at this point. You see Mike Stiverson going to jump Dustin Ping right there. Gets close to jumping the 49. Cody Gibson with that first pit stall, though. He's going to come out in P1 ahead of Raymond, Stiverson, Ping, Mitchell, Anderson, and the rest.
All right, so Eric Anderson going to lose a spot on pit road, came in 5th. Loses a spot. Mike Stiverson comes in 3rd, leaves 3rd. Here's a name that we haven't spoken about tonight, Arie. One of the drivers needing a win to get into next week's championship race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's not count out that number 4 car.
That's right. Tanner Marr has a history of doing this season in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. He's kind of anonymous through the first couple of stages, but then stage 3 rolls around. We start to get later on in the race, and that Ford truck has been picking him off slowly but surely. He's been learning how to run the track. He's been finding his rhythm. He's been picking up the speed, and now Tanner Marr finds himself P7 on track. He is up 11 positions from where he started.
One of the biggest movers of tonight's race is that 4 machine of Tanner Marr. Another big mover out here tonight, Frank DiMaggio, up 15. One of the 2 drivers electing not to take a qualifying effort out here tonight, just on the outskirts of a top 10 running position. As expect to see lights out on the pace car this time by Jason Raymond. Is going to take the outside with Cody Gibson, or excuse me, Cody Gibson's going to be the control car here, and he takes the inside.
That's right. Still rocking that Christmas paint scheme here on February the 3rd. So words are going to need to be had with Cody Gibson out there. The only one still doing it. Jason Raymond in P2 on the front row. Both teammates out front. Row 2 is going to be Mike Stuyvesant on the inside, Dustin Ping on the outside. Dustin Ping was eliminated from the Scrambler Series earlier on, but did not attend all of the playoff races, so he is not in a position to win his way into the finale like Mike Stuyvesant is from P3 right now, or Eric Anderson from P6.
To be fair, I think does Casey's paint scheme count as a Christmas paint scheme?
It does. It was meant to be Christmas, so yeah.
A couple of drivers still out in the Christmas spirit past Groundhog Day, but we are getting set to go racing. Once again, the pace car going to get down and out of the way in just another couple of seconds. Cody Gibson going to be the race leader and the control car on this restart. He's got teammate Jason Raymond to the outside, Mike Stuyvesant on the inside of row number 2. Dustin Ping makes up our 2 rows here.
All right, pace car going to take that hard left-hand turn off of the racing surface. Brian's got the green flag in the air. Cody Gibson in control of this race once again for the start of stage 3. Into the restart zone we go, and up to speed towards turn 1.
Barney's going to wave that flag high up in the air and send us down into turn number 1. Cody Gibson gets a commanding start here. He's able to jump up in front of the 49 by the time we get down into turn number 1. The field of 27 going to come through turns 1 and 2. Cody Gibson in the race lead. Mike Stuyvesant and Jason Raymond directly behind them, but Dustin Ping now battling for 3rd place with Stuyvesant.
Oh boy, the Hornet's Nest is kicking from 3rd on back as Jason Raymond pressures for the race lead. We got Mike Stuyvesant, Dustin Ping side by side, Greg Mitchell, Eric Anderson, Tanner Marr, Brad Holmes, and just about the entire field right in tow.
And that car that was sideways about 20 laps ago, Matt Semple, he's going to take it 4 wide on the front stretch here as we cross the start-finish line. 4 wide at the line. That's what makes Michigan great. And we are seeing 4 wide down into turn number 1. None of these drivers given an inch. None of these drivers yielding to the others. But we're going to come down into turn number 1 clean without issue.
Absolutely sensational driving from these racers here as we see that 4 wide situation play out. Now we've got a little bit of a bump draft line on that inside, trying to find where the speed is down into turn 3 right here. Everyone's going to get spaced out just a little bit more. All the while, this chaos has been going on in the middle of the field up front. Cody Gibson, Jason Raymond, they have pulled just over half a second on 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm Cody Gibson, if I'm Jason Raymond, I'd love to see this because it's allowed for some daylight, for some separation between 3rd and 4th place. Mike Stuyvesant, Greg Mitchell, Eric Anderson back here as well. So while these drivers have been battling out and still continue to battle it out here, the race leaders slowly pulling away.
That they are. Let's see if we can't get an aerial view of the action right now. 3 wide, multiple times over. Dustin Ping gets extremely loose. A big check of Matt Semple into Gary Bowman. 2 championship contenders. As Gary Bowman slides across the grass. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. 2 of our championship 4 involved in this incident. And this could have big implications, especially for the 8 of Gary Bowman. We're going to need to take another look right here. There was a number of events that led up to everything that just happened, and I want to say, I'm a little blind right now. I am not finding Matt Semple up here. So, okay, let's go back just a little bit further, and we're going to see exactly what happens here. We're going to zoom this out. It starts with Dustin Ping in the 81. Dustin Ping is going to get very loose. You can see the rear end kick out right there. He's got to get out of the gas, which means the 16 has to get out of the gas. The 47 doesn't have enough time to react. That sends Matt Semple into Gary Bowman with that contact. Just wrong place, wrong time. Gary Bowman's going to get turned into the outside wall across Nathan Dufton's nose right there. Highly unfortunate that stack up happened where it did, and Gary Bowman going to get the worst end of that. Let's go ahead and take another look at this. We're going to watch it from onboard driver 8 in real time. Just along for the ride at that point. Not really much you can do if you're Gary Bowman in that position. We jump back up to the live timing and the entire field back on pit road, but we've got some strategy calls. All right, then we have 2 tire calls multiple times over. Off of pit road we go then. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be one way to shake it up. Mike Stiverson leads this race. Greg Mitchell, Eric Anderson, Ed Jurgen, Chris Rose, Logan Spencer, Frank DiMaggio, Andrew Caldwell. The top 8 come down and take fuel only, not even 2 tires, fuel only for the top 8. You then have to go back to P9. Cody Gibson, Jason Raymond, Tanner Marr. Those 3 teammates took 4 tires. Brian Dorsey, fuel only. Brad Holmes in P13, 4 tires. Andy Cork took fuel only. So big split right here. Just about half and half of the remaining contenders electing to take fuel only versus a full 4 tires. These drivers who just took fuel only, they have officially put themselves in the window. Well, I guess everyone took fuel right there, whether you took the 4 tires or just fuel, but with that caution coming out right when it did, these drivers have put themselves right on the number. We know you can go about 24 to 26 on fuel. There are just about 50 laps remaining in this race, give or take. So we are going to be right on the number. We are sure to see some fuel-saving strategy from this point to the end, barring another yellow. Lights are out on that pace car up front. Mike Stiverson, the race leader, he's going to elect to take the outside lane for the restart. Going to put teammate Greg Mitchell down on the inside. And to catch everyone up, the top 8 drivers on track, fuel only. On that pit stop, you got to go back to P9 to find the first 4 tires. Raymond, Gibson, Marr, Holmes, and Music.
All right, drivers getting set to go green flag racing out here. Now, Arie, this kind of puts us... Drivers can go about 25 laps on a fuel run here. We're going to be restarting on lap number 50. Kind of puts us right up on the number. We'll see how this shakes out in the closing laps out here tonight. But some of these drivers given an opportunity to come down. Some elected to take 4 tires. Some elected to take just fuel only as we get set to go back green flag racing once again here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network.
I like the fuel-only call. Track position seems to be really important out here this evening, especially if you're Mike Stiverson. You're a driver who can go out there and win your way into the finale. Let's see what that 20 truck can do. He's got Greg Mitchell to his inside. Towards the restart zone we go. Driver on the outside, that dark gray 20 in control. Into the restart zone we go. On that loud pedal, going to bring Ed Jurgen with him.
Stiverson gets a commanding lead by the time they get to the start-finish line. He's got Greg Mitchell, Ed Jurgen battling for second place. Directly behind him, Eric Anderson also in this mix as well. It's a 3-car battle for position number 2. Chris Rose and Logan Spencer also trying to battle for a top 5 position. But by the time we exit corner number 2, it's going to be Greg Mitchell with the race lead.
Greg Mitchell in control in the 55 ahead of Stiverson, Anderson, and Jurgen. Those two are going to be side drafting for P3. They have been battling a lot tonight as Ed Jurgen finally peeks his nose into the top 5. Once again, we are 3 wide.
3 wide all across the track here as we go on board with Chris Rose as Eric Anderson in a spot where he's going to lose multiple positions on the exit of corner number 4. And maybe even more going down into turn number 1. He's going to have Andrew Caldwell taking a look to the outside and Logan Spencer to the inside by the time we enter into turn number 1. We remain 3 wide throughout these corners here, and these drivers getting at it here with less than half the race to go.
All right, here we go. Jason Raymond, first driver on 4 tires. Aggressive 3-wide move to the inside of Chris Rose. Halfway down the back straightaway. He's going to take that inside line into turn 3 right there. He's going to make a couple of passes with that move right there. Those 4 tires seem to be working. And, oh, Brad Holmes, big issues.
Big issues on the front stretch here for Brad Holmes.
Cody Gibson
has some significant damage on that number 1 truck. That left front tire looks to be absolutely destroyed for Gibson.
That is potentially, that is contention ending for the one of Cody Gibson, one of the drivers, one of the fastest drivers out here this evening, looking to get the win. But more importantly, Tom, one of our final 4 contenders. If he ends up being the lowest of those 4 and we get one of our names in red winning this race, that could be it for Cody Gibson's chances.
Can you imagine? Cody Gibson, 7 wins on the season, makes the championship 4 last week, and this week gets eliminated. If one of the drivers highlighted in green on the timing tower wins tonight's race, what an upset that would be. We're going to have to see how these next 50 laps or so play out. But at the front of the field, Cody Gibson is safe for the time being because Greg Mitchell is in the lead.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't pull up the replay of what exactly happened here between Brad Holmes and Cody Gibson. All right, let's see if we can queue up a little replay right here. Looks like it had already happened at this point. We're going to go a little further back. All right, this is going to be turn 3 and 4 right here. Cody Gibson coming up on the 0-0 of Brad Holmes. And Brad Holmes is going to get extremely loose right there. Gets a little help from the 1 on corner exit. That sends the 0-0 right back in. And wow, Cody Gibson just gets absolutely sandwiched in the wall right there. That's got to be some pretty notable damage for the 0-0 as well, I would think.
Yeah, I don't think there was any contact that got Brad loose. I think that all happened after the fact. But just the closing distance between the front end of the 1 and the back end of the 0-0, that's the effects of it. And we spoke about drivers earlier in tonight's race, drivers having handling issues out here. That's what the difference of just an inch can make. And Brad Holmes, Cody Gibson on the receiving end of that incident.
Absolutely. Here we go then. Battle for the race lead. Greg Mitchell had it, but those 4 fresh tires aboard the 49 truck are going to work, and that is going to give the advantage to Jason Raymond down on the inside. Driver who led before the Chaos driver who won stage 2. Back up in control now as we work lap 57 out of 100. Jason Raymond looking for his first career win in the Cyber Thunder Racing League.
3 of the top 5 drivers as they run right now eligible to win their way back into championship contention. Mike Stuyvesant, Ed Jurgen, Eric Anderson. And then you also got Andrew Caldwell, Tanner Marr also inside the top 10. So this race far from over. Let's take a quick little update here on Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson still on pit road, still getting damaged on 2 minutes plus and counting. Now, the only saving grace here, and it's really not even going to be that, is that Gary Bowman got involved in an incident a couple of laps ago as well. But Gary's still going to be on the lead lap. Cody Gibson still
He's
in
about
the pits,
4 laps down.
Yeah, so that's
heartbreak. If you're Cody Gibson, you are hoping and praying.
Yeah, this is worst case scenario for Cody Gibson, driver with 7 wins on the season. Started out the Scrambler Series with 3 straight wins and could be eliminated in the next 42 laps.
Could very well be. Working in Cody Gibson's favor is the fact that teammate Jason Raymond is the one who went out there and took the lead again. That 49 truck quickly making himself the favorite to bring home the trophy tonight here in Michigan. If he could do that, he would save his teammates' chances at a championship. All he's got to do is keep anyone with their name highlighted in red behind them. Him and Greg Mitchell, both Greg Mitchell, another one of the final 4 contenders. But I tell you what, Tom, if I'm Greg Mitchell and there's an opportunity for Cody Gibson to not be in that finale, I don't hate that.
Yeah, you better believe it that Greg Mitchell is trying to do everything he can to get that Chevy Silverado. Cody Gibson, Greg Mitchell, rivals in a friendly sense all season, right? They haven't had an issue, right? But they have been going tit for tat every single week. You get the checkered flag one week, I get it the next, and the two championship contenders, one of them has the opportunity to knock out the other tonight.
Absolutely, as we see Mike Stiverson in the 20 pulling up to the rear end of Greg Mitchell in the 55. Mike Stiverson has quietly had a lot of speed out here tonight. He's kind of gotten himself up there, maybe through some pit strategy, through some drafting and kind of long runs and whatnot. But that 20 truck, he showed me a lot of speed out here tonight. And these two up front, they've got to be careful.
Here's something else, Arie. So Jason Raymond, he took 4 tires on this most recent start. The next driver to take 4 tires is going to be Dustin Ping, all the way back in 5th. I say all the way back in 5th, but you know, you've got drivers with just fuel only sitting 2nd, 3rd, and 4th here, and it looks like it's going to be a net gain for these drivers by the time we have to pit again.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you're one of the drivers who didn't take tires there, you're feeling pretty good about that decision. I mean, Greg Mitchell's up here running in P2. He was certainly not that far up in the running order beforehand. We hadn't really talked about Greg Mitchell too much tonight until he pulled that move to get himself up towards the front. So very good play from these guys. Ed Jurgen still lurking in the picture as well. Been running top 5 for pretty much the entire night up to this point. We're working lap 62 at the moment. We know everyone on track has to make at least one more pit stop.
When that comes, that's going to be the question. Most of these drivers last pit on lap number 48. So they can go about 25, maybe 26 laps if they really stretch it. I mean, that puts us kind of right within the window. Driver's going to need a couple of laps of fuel saving here.
Oh, big issues, Ed Jurgen. Ed Jurgen with a huge hit to the outside wall. We are still under green, but there was contact between Ed Jurgen and Dustin Ping that sends the 92 into the outside wall. And we are going to need a replay right here.
Let's see if we can't see exactly what happens here. We caught it on the outskirts of the camera frame. Dustin Ping on the inside, Ed Jurgen. Very similar to what we saw with Brad Holmes a couple of laps ago. Ed Jurgen's just going to get sideways. Initially, I thought Dustin came up and made contact with the 92, but Ed's going to get loose and come down.
Absolutely, and Dustin Ping somehow gets this truck corralled. I think we've seen the aftermath of the 92. Dustin Ping does lose quite a few positions right there, but man, that is potentially race-ending damage for the 92. It does look like race-ending damage. He's got to bring that down on pit road. So much like we saw with the one of Cody Gibson, the 92, he wasn't in the picture, but he was one of the drivers with the best chances to win their way into the finale. Ed Jurgen, heartbreak.
Drivers start to thin out a little bit. Now the only driver with the opportunity to win his way into Charlotte next week is Mike Stiverson, who still runs 3rd, but Logan Spencer within a half a second of
Mike Stiverson! Oh my goodness, sorry to step over you there, Tom.
We got to stop talking about drivers. I feel like every time we do, one of them gets loose. Stiverson is able to get away. He's going to lose a ton of positions here, but no damage on that 20 truck, just some abused Goodyears on that number 20.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and cue this replay up as well. Why don't we while we're at it? Was there help? No, Mike Stiverson just getting loose just like Ed Jurgen did.
Kind of surprising, Arie, to see these issues on the corner exits. Typically, I would think that we would see them on the corner entries where the weight of the vehicle starts to transfer around, but that also happens on the corner exits as well. It's just seen a little bit less.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, we were just talking about it before we saw the 20 get sideways, but shout out Logan Spencer. Driver is the biggest mover of the night so far. That 19 truck is up 20 positions from where he started this race. He is running 3rd, on track for a podium. He did not take tires on that last stop, and he is doing that on merit. So props to that 19 truck of Logan Spencer.
Absolutely. Good run for Logan out here tonight. Good to see him running up towards the front of the field. Up towards the front of the field, we got a battle for the race lead. Jason Raymond under fire from Greg Mitchell on the inside. Greg Mitchell's going to need to complete this pass or he may lose 3 spots by the time he tries to do it. He's still on the inside, not able to make it happen just yet. going to ride the middle of the track just a little bit here, and we'll see what happens on corner exit. Jason Raymond still able to hold on to the lead.
There we go then. Dustin Ping up in the conversation as well. He did have tires just like Jason Raymond did, and now that 81 recovering from that contact with the 92, he's going to get back up into P3 and try and hunt down these top two. Jason Raymond is struggling in turns 3 and 4, and he's going to get sideways in front of Greg Mitchell, who has to get out of it. Here comes Dustin Ping, 3 wide, with Logan Spencer to the race lead.
These drivers having an issue on the exit of corner number 4. Last time they pit was 20 laps ago. So the tires starting to give up. And Jason Raymond, one of the drivers that came down for 4 fresh tires. So, oh my
gosh, what is happening?
You ever play Mario Kart where you do the drift around the corner and it gives you the speed boost on the straightaway?
I think that's what they're doing. Too? I think we might have to make an amendment to the rule book or something.
Dustin Ping, through all that, Jason Raymond gets loose. He's going to fall back to the 5th place running position, does a nice job hanging on to that 49, loses a bunch of track position. But Dustin Ping able to take the race lead over Greg Mitchell. 3rd place now, Tanner Marr. Tanner kind of came out of nowhere through those couple of crazy laps here. So this race far from over, as we're going to see 30 laps to go next time by.
Absolutely. In true Tanner Marr fashion, he is just picking them off one by one. He did take tires on that last pit stop. And oh, by the way, Tanner Marr eligible to win his way into the finale.
Yeah, if you're Cody Gibson right now, Dustin Ping's going to come down onto pit road for what I imagine is scheduled service here, though it does put him on the outside of the fuel window.
It very much does. Dustin Ping, 2-stop strategy to the end.
All right. Well, I don't hate it, but I think that a lot of these drivers, knowing what's on the line, are going to go for a one-stop strategy, especially if you're Tanner Marr, Brad Holmes, Lee Campbell, Ed Jurgen on pit road, Mike Stiverson. Some of these drivers that have the opportunity to come in, do something a little bit different than what the majority of them are doing, and we're going to see how it plays out. But Tanner Marr going to the lead for the inside, on the inside of Greg Mitchell, and that's going to put Tanner Marr in. And if this race ended at this start-finish line right here, Cody Gibson would be eliminated from next week's championship contention.
That's right. And if it were a teammate to eliminate Cody Gibson, oh boy, would that be an interesting story. Tanner Marr, teammates with Cody Gibson, could go up there and steal his teammates' shots at it if he could get it done. Greg Mitchell falls back into P2 at the moment. Here comes Frank DiMaggio in the 24. He's gone up ahead of Logan Spencer. One thing I'm starting to notice, Tom, is that the fuel saving has started to ramp up big time. That's why we see a lot of the shuffling of positions between these drivers. They're all trying to make sure that they can stretch it as far as they can. Ideally, you want to get to no sooner than lap 74 before you come down. And even then, Tom, I'd much rather see a 75 or a 76.
We'll listen to Greg Mitchell as he goes into turn number 1. Certainly no fuel saving on the 55. Currently running in 2nd place. He's going to get passed by Frank DiMaggio. Frank DiMaggio is kind of a name that has been showing up in the broadcasts in the past couple of weeks, but we've been kind of sleeping on because he's kind of been running in the back half of the top 10, maybe top 12, top 15 on certain nights. Frank DiMaggio has a ton of wins in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, just recently getting back into the sim racing environment, and certainly capable of coming up here and spoiling the party here this evening.
Absolutely. I'm actually going to check that number right now. Speaking of Frank DiMaggio in the 24, it is. I have seen it myself, but he is looking to take away the race lead at the moment. If he can get to the inside of Tanner Marr and make it happen, that Ford truck still holding on strong at the moment to circle back around on Frank DiMaggio. That driver has won, I believe, 23 times, if I'm not mistaken, in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, 17 pole positions. So that 24, you got to watch out for him making his return to Cyber Thunder.
So, Arie, here in the closing laps, we still have one more round of green flag pit stops to make. If you're Tanner Marr right now, you got to put any sort of teammates and friendships behind you here, because you're also looking to win the race.
Yeah, I think if you're Tanner Marr, listen, it sucks for your teammate, but at the same time, you've got an opportunity to not only go and win a race, and these things are extremely difficult to win, but you've got an opportunity to go win a championship in next week's race in Charlotte. You can put all your eggs into that basket. You can go out there, try and make it happen. It has been for a lot of the season up to this point. It has been kind of a dream season for Tanner Marr in that 4. It hasn't, been as great in the second half as it started out in the first half, but he's got a good opportunity here as we see Greg Mitchell and Logan Spencer. They're going to come down. Mike Stiverson and Andrew Caldwell as well.
All right, so a couple of drivers in the lead pack coming down onto pit road. Drivers starting to make their way, Dustin Pink going to make his way around the 2 race leaders on 4 fresh tires. We know Dustin is going to need to stop at least one more time as he pitted about 6 laps earlier than I think anybody expected. Maybe was trying to get some drivers to answer that phone call. Here, Frank DiMaggio coming over the radio. That 24 going to come down onto pit road, as well as the race leader, Tanner.
That's right, the top 6 yet to pit, and we're going to see how many of those 6 come down this time. Tanner Marr and Frank DiMaggio going to lead the way out of the lead. Here comes Chris Rose. Here comes Eric Anderson. Sure to be the rest of the drivers out on track. Going to have that 1 additional lap on fuel all the way to the end. So these drivers who stayed out that extra lap, they should be sitting a little prettier than all the rest.
All these drivers that just came down pit road do not see any black flags for speeding for these drivers. Dustin Ping, as expected, was able to jump in front of Greg Mitchell throughout that pit stop here. We expect him to take the race lead by the time he passes pit road here to give us 24 laps to go. All these drivers that just pitted down on pit road, but they're going to be coming with about 5-6 lap better tires than the 81. We'll see how that plays out. We saw it kind of work at the beginning of stage number 3 here with some fuel-only strategy.
That we did, and one thing to keep in mind here is Dustin Ping cannot make it to the end of this race on fuel. There is no chance to save that much fuel, so the 81 will need a caution or have to come down under green flag circumstances before the race is over. Greg Mitchell on back, the entire rest of the field, they are in the window. They have the opportunity. Perhaps not all of them will be able to make it to the end, but if they're conscious about their fuel, they should be able to do it and just give up a little of speed on their way.
This time by 24 laps to go, Dustin Ping, currently the race leader, going to come down into turn number 1. The field started to separate just a little bit through that round of green flag pit stops out here tonight. Tanner Marr just over 2 seconds back of this battle for the race lead. Frank DiMaggio, Logan Spencer still having a good night. Tip of the hat to the number 19, running in 5th, 3.4 seconds off of the leaders.
As it sits right now, Tanner Marr, the highest running eligible driver to knock out one of our final 4 in tonight's event. You got to go back to Eric Anderson in P7 to find the next one. Mike Stiverson in P8. Out of the top 10, those are the drivers along with Andrew Caldwell running in P10 who have an opportunity. However, if Dustin Ping were to somehow pull off the win in tonight's event, that would change nothing as Dustin Ping is out there for a win but has no effect on the scrambler. Greg Mitchell in that 55, if he can get it done, Cody Gibson's chances at a championship are saved as Greg Mitchell is already in the final 4. So a number of storylines that we're waiting to see come to fruition.
It's going to be interesting to see here because Greg Mitchell has caught the back of the 81, now starting to feel the effects of the dirty air of Dustin Ping directly in front of him. Has not really been able to close the gap to the race leader and make a move for the race lead just yet, but Tanner Marr, without draft, is still closing, was 2 seconds back a lap or 2 ago, now 1.7 seconds back. I think he's going to need, it's going to be, they came down, Tanner's got a lap better tires, but I like having the draft here.
I like having the draft, but the thing is with Tanner Marr, he has 1 lap better tires. He also has 1 lap better fuel. He is in a better fuel situation than what Greg Mitchell in the 55 is. Greg Mitchell's got a lot of dirty air in the corner right here to work with. Yeah. I think this is shaping up really good for Tanner Marr. I like how close to Greg Mitchell he exited the pit roads right there. He is going to be in a really good position.
Well, we'll see that time. Tanner Marr knocked off almost 0.3 of a second to the race lead, but the race lead, Greg Mitchell, if he's going to get around Dustin Ping, it's going to have to be in the next lap or 2 because Tanner Marr will be in this conversation before the night is over. Frank DiMaggio also going to be in this conversation as these drivers now within 1.5 seconds of the race leader, but Dustin Ping under heavy fire now from second place runner Greg Mitchell.
That's right, through turns 3 and 4 right here, you can see just how much Dustin Ping is working the wheel. But in that cockpit right there, got that thing sawing away. He is extremely loose. We've already seen him get sideways a little earlier on as well. Greg Mitchell waiting for the opportunity. He just can't quite find enough to get that nose alongside and get that side draft.
Now, these times on the screen relative to the race leader, Dustin Ping. So last time by, Tanner Marr, he's been much faster than these two in front of him by about a quarter of a second to a tenth of a second. Every single lap needs to continue to do the same thing. We're seeing Frank DiMaggio's name pop up into that box as Frank now makes his way around for third place and is in within 1.2 seconds.
That he is. Frank DiMaggio going to get around. Logan Spencer's also going to get around Tanner Marr as we enter turn 1 right here. So Tanner Marr electing not to defend it too hard right there. Going to let those two get ahead of him for the time being. Maybe doesn't like what he sees on the fuel radar quite yet. Dustin Ping, surprisingly, Tom, still holding on to this advantage ahead of Greg Mitchell. These are 5-lap different tires in which Greg Mitchell should have the advantage on Dustin Ping. But part of it for Greg is that he can't use all of the fuel that he would like to, so he's almost kind of evened himself out in that regard.
He's going to have an opportunity on corner number 4 here, and he's going to jump ahead of the race lead. Greg Mitchell is going to take the race lead. He's going to slide up in front of Dustin. Dustin slides wide in turn number 3, which opened up the window for Mr. Mitchell in that number 55. Now, Frank DiMaggio maybe in the best spot here. He's got a lot better tires. He's got a lot better fuel than the 55 in front of him. And oh, yeah, he's on the outside of the 81 for second place.
Here we go then. Frank DiMaggio in the 24 is going to be in a great position to try and challenge for the race lead, maybe even more. 18 laps remain in this event. Greg Mitchell in the lead, but that bright red 24 truck is on a mission.
Frank DiMaggio comes across the start-finish line second, just 1/10 of a second, and the entire top 5 now within a half second of the race leader. These drivers staying with each other. Dustin Ping has slid back to 4th as Frank DiMaggio goes for the race lead.
All right, DiMaggio on the 24 to the point for the first time under green flag conditions in tonight's event. We know the 24 truck should be good to make it on fuel, maybe with just the slightest bit of saving. Same boat for the 4 of Tanner Marr. All of the others in this picture, they're going to have to go a little bit longer if they want to make it. We know Dustin Ping can't. Tanner Marr, he's gotten himself up to 3rd now ahead of Logan Spencer. If Tanner Marr can get around Greg Mitchell in a timely fashion, this race is going to come down to the 24 and the 4.
It's gonna be important here to see how much the 24 is able to pull away from the 55 and how much the 4 and the 55 fight for second place here. Remember, Cody Gibson, the driver that would check that Arie. Ed Jurgen would be the driver that's eliminated. Cody has gotten back out on track and passed Ed Jurgen for position.
Well, Ed Jurgen's not currently in the final 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Never. You're right. Never mind. got excited there. I thought we had a change of strategy here. No, Cody Gibson is still in the elimination position as the laps start to close down in tonight's race. Give us 15 laps of racing to go.
Here we go then. Tanner Marr to the inside of Greg Mitchell. Battle for P2. This could be for all of the marbles. Tanner Marr has the opportunity to go punch his ticket, but he has to get around the 55 of Mitchell if he wants a shot. 15 laps to go. He can't make it happen on the first try.
Tanner's going to have to get around Greg here pretty fast because Frank DiMaggio is going to start to open up that gap. It's now a quarter of a second over second place Greg Mitchell, and every lap that they race side by side, that gives an advantage to the 24 at the start-finish line. 0.27 seconds, and this race is far from over here as we've got real implications on the line with 14 laps to go.
That we do. Both of the top 2 going to be riding that lower lane right here as Tanner Marr rips around the outside, riding on board. He's going to get a huge run down the back straightaway. Greg Mitchell electing to stay in line with the 24, not going to enact the side draft. Tanner Marr is going to send it from deep down into turn 3. He drives it in about as deep as you can. He's going to get alongside the 24. Can Tanner Marr make it stick?
I tell you what, this might have an opportunity at working here if the 55 wasn't pushing the 24 down the front stretch here. Frank DiMaggio is going to try to break that draft as much as he possibly can, but he owes a big old handshake to the 55 on the front stretch there. Tanner Marr still stuck back in third place around the 55. He's going to have an opportunity to clear the 55 on the backstretch, and he may just do it. He's clear, and now he's got his sights set on the race leader. 13 laps to go.
All right, Greg Mitchell down to P3 at the moment. Tanner Marr can see the race leader in his sights. Now entering the picture, Dustin Ping a lap down. He made his final pit stop. He is not for position at the moment. He's going to be faster than these drivers, making his way through as now Greg Mitchell pushes the back of the 4 of Tanner Marr. Tanner Marr is going to have an opportunity to take the battle to Frank DiMaggio. Frank looking for his first win in years in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. Tanner Marr looking to punch his ticket to the finale.
I gotta wonder, how much are these drivers using the tires? How much is Tanner using the tires here to try to take the race lead? Greg Mitchell gonna come up behind the 4 and try to give him a push down the backstretch into turn number 3 for the battle for the race lead. Still side by side, a nose ahead for the 4, and we are door bumper clear on the exit of turn number 4.
Tanner Marr is going to slide all the way up the track. He does get loose, however, he lets the 24 around the outside right there, gets the push from Greg Mitchell in the 55 down the front straightaway. 11 laps to go into turn 1. Tanner Marr leads.
Tanner Marr sees an opportunity for a championship in his future. He's got to keep these drivers behind him and win his first race of the season in order to do that. And he's got some hungry drivers directly behind him. Greg Mitchell, Frank DiMaggio, Logan Spencer also looking for his first win. So this race far from over. These drivers are going to be hungry in the closing laps of tonight's race. We're going to see 10 laps to go this time by Arie. This is what the redemption round was built.
It absolutely was. Tanner Marr in control now. Greg Mitchell behind on 1 lap, older tires. Frank DiMaggio has fallen a little more out of the picture as it sits, as long as the fuel number is on the good side for that 4 truck. He is sitting pretty. 10 laps remain around the 2 Mile Speedway in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Can Tanner Marr bring it home and eliminate the potential favorite for the championship in the same swing?
Arie, let's not forget, it was about 20 laps into the run last time by that we started to see everybody get super loose on the exit of corner number 4. Right now, it's been about 10 to 12 laps since they last came down on pit road. So we're going to start to see, if history repeats itself, we may start to see these drivers getting loose randomly on the exit of corner number 4. That's going to be something that could change the outcome of this race in the blink of an eye.
It very well could, and I tell you what, I've raced around Greg Mitchell in the 55 enough to know that you can't count him out, even if he's got a tire advantage, even if he's also at a fuel disadvantage. That 55 knows what he's doing. He has won in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, I think, as many times as Frank DiMaggio has, as a matter of fact. There's a lot of wins combined right behind Tanner Marr at the moment. 9 laps, going to turn into 8 at the line.
8 laps to go, 16 miles of racing in the Cheetos 200 out here tonight. Tanner Marr still leads over Greg Mitchell. The battle for the race lead within 0.2 of a second. Frank DiMaggio still runs in third, and Logan Spencer sitting in the wings. If these drivers start battling for the race lead and get side by side, that 19 is going to be very much in the battle.
Down into turn 3 we go. Tanner Marr in the lead still. Greg Mitchell now under pressure once again from the 24 of DiMaggio. Shoots to the outside, not finding anything there. Logan Spencer in the 19. He wants a piece of this action in P4. He's going to get sideways.
That was the first hint of drivers getting sideways on the exit of 4 there, Arie. This is now into play. We're going to have to see who it bites and whose left rear, right rear tire gets hot in the closing laps out here, as there is no room for mistakes.
No more room for error at this point. The top 4 in the running order, running effectively nose to tail. Frank DiMaggio is going to look to the inside of Greg Mitchell now down into turn 3. He's going to make his move as he tries to get back up into the conversation for the win. It is in Greg Mitchell's best interest that Tanner Marr wins this race for next week's event in Charlotte. He is going to give the bump draft to Tanner Marr down the front straightaway. 6 laps remain.
6 laps to go, and we are nose to tail on the entrance of turn number 1. Tanner Marr in the race lead, Greg Mitchell in second. We are a staggered 3 wide through turns 1 and 2. Frank DiMaggio may have the advantage here but he cannot clear on the inside of the corner down here. Greg Mitchell going to continue the momentum on the backstretch here to protect second place, and that's also protecting the 4 of Marr.
Tanner Marr starting to get really loose in the corners at the moment. He has got to hold on for just a little bit longer. He's going to slide back up in front of the 55 of Mitchell. Frank DiMaggio can't go anywhere in the 24 as long as these two are hooked up. Greg Mitchell, if he can push Tanner Marr enough to win this race, gets his biggest championship threat eliminated in doing so. Playing the game as it was written down the back straightaway with 5 laps to go. DiMaggio to the inside again.
High 5 over the Speedway, 4.5 laps to go. Tanner Marr still leading for car number 4. Going to take a look down to the inside here. He's got to be careful here because it's going to give the draft a little bit to the 24. The 24 just wants to get up there and win the race, but I think as long as he still pulls the draft to the 55 down the front stretch, he may be okay here.
Big issues
for Logan Spencer on the front stretch.
Logan Spencer,
green flag racing,
out of P4, gets into the wall. The same loose instance that we saw out of other drivers earlier. We stay green, but Logan Spencer out of the top 5. Big damage. 4 laps to go. The battle up front from 4 to now 3.
A 4-car battle has become a 3-car battle now. Frank DiMaggio, Greg Mitchell, and race leader Tanner Marr. Frank DiMaggio may have an opportunity to clear Greg Mitchell on corner exit here. Is he able to do so? Everybody's going to get sideways out of turn number 4. Put DiMaggio to the preferred lane of the outside, and now the 55 drops down to the inside to push the 4.
They're about dead even across the line. Give it to DiMaggio now, down into turn number 1. The tandem on the inside, that 24 on the outside. A little bit of a roll reversal right here. What can Tanner Marr do in the 40? He's going to slide up the racetrack. The 24 has to get out of it just a little bit. He's going to have the momentum down the back straightaways. Greg Mitchell gets back on the rear bumper. 3 laps to go. Dead even down into turn 3.
Bargy on the backstretch on to turn number 3. Tanner Marr is going to slide up. Frank DiMaggio is going to have to get out of it. The gloves are off at Michigan International Speedway. 3 wide on the exit turn number 4. 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go, 3 wide for the race lead and for the win. Nobody else in sight. Mitchell to the inside, DiMaggio in the middle, Marr around the top. Down into turn 1 we go. 3 different stories, 3 possible outcomes.
Tanner Marr takes the preferred lane up on the outside, and he's going to have the momentum on the backstretch here. Frank DiMaggio on the inside, Tanner Marr on the outside, and you can see the power in that Chevy Silverado in that 4 up on the outside. Next time by, 2 miles of racing to go to decide a championship.
Here we go then. Frank DiMaggio sends it in deep. Is he going to ride the 4 into the wall? He does. Tanner Marr slaps the wall down the front straightaway. They're still neck and neck. White flag in the air.
This is going to be an incredible finish out here tonight, Arie. 1 for the books on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Tanner Marr up on the outside trying to pinch down Frank DiMaggio, but Frank's moving him up the track as much as he possibly can. Tanner Marr with the advantage on the exit of turn number 2.
The 24 gets a little sideways out of 2. Can he side draft down the back straightaway? He's just got the nose right there down into turn 3. It's going to be one more chance for Frank DiMaggio to take it away. Tanner Marr around the middle. He's going to wait for the crossover. He's going to dive back down, but DiMaggio makes it stick in the 24. He keeps it planted. Frank DiMaggio is a winner yet again in the Cyber Thunder Racing League.
Oh my God, Arie, I tell you what, it's a good thing that race wasn't 10 more laps. I don't know if we could have survived those 10 laps. Frank DiMaggio gets the win out here tonight and protects Cody Gibson as the final driver in the round of 4 next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Unbelievable battle to the checkered flag right there. That's got to be the best race at Michigan that I have ever seen. All the while, these drivers managing their fuel number to make sure they can make it to the end. And out of all of it, Frank DiMaggio in the 24, driver who's been making a return in recent weeks, finding his footing yet again, gets it done, gets back to victory lane. I'll have to fact check when the last time Frank DiMaggio won a race in the Cyber Thunder Racing League was, but it has been a minute.
I tell you what, I know Cody Gibson was sitting there. I don't know if Cody Gibson's got any more fingernails left after waiting those closing 10 laps, but let's catch our breath here, and we're gonna grab the top 3 finishers in tonight's race. Greg, Eric Anderson, Tanner Marr, and Frank DiMaggio.
How about Eric Anderson sneaking in a podium at the very end?
Yeah, seriously. All right. I've got Tanner and Eric down there. Where is Frank? There's Frank. Cool. All right, Arie, let's do it. Let's head on over to 3rd place finisher out here tonight, Eric Anderson. Eric, before the race, you were talking some big words out here, and it almost paid off. You come home with a podium finish here tonight in the redemption round.
I waited a lap or two too long to go. I had a lap to the good fuel, and I probably could have started a little bit earlier because I still had, I don't know, half a gallon left. So I gave it all I had. It's all I had.
You absolutely did, and we saw the battles, and then we saw how difficult it was to make the pass. We saw also a lot of drivers getting really loose on the exit of corner number 4. Is that something you experienced?
Yeah, but I like it that way. I no problem. I faded back a little bit early, just trying to get on the fuel number, and that's why I kind of faded back early. But no, the truck felt good. I like it. I've got a nice little braking system diving off into the turns that helps me there. So no problem with that. Enjoyed it.
If it's the 92 in front of you, I think the braking system is the back bumper.
Yeah, I've seen him go by me a few times with some closing speeds. I'm not sure what happened there. Good for him though. He's made a great run of it this year.
Yeah, well, Eric, you come out here tonight. The championship is going to have to wait at least one more season, but you certainly made your name known out here tonight. Ran in the top 5 for the majority of tonight's race. Come home 3rd. We're going to open up the floor. Anybody want to say hello to back home?
Heck yeah, that was awesome. I want to thank you and Arie for the broadcast y'all done this season and all the work y'all put in. I want to thank Cody Gibson for sponsoring tonight's race, of course. All the guys that, as you call them, the bearded ones, all those guys that hang with me all the time. I want to say hi to James and Kathy. They're friends of mine who will be out here soon. And say hi to my mom and my sister, and tell them thanks for watching.
All right, Eric, thank you so much for the kind words for Arie and myself, and congratulations on the 3rd place finish and a great run out here tonight. And 2nd place, Tanner Marr, is with Arie.
That's right. I have our runner-up finisher in tonight's event, and oh, what could have been for the Ford Tanner Marr. I tell you what, Tanner, you were a part of what was the best race at Michigan I think I have ever seen up to this point on the sim, so kudos for that one. You went out there, you gave it everything you had, but what more did you need?
Not to screw up turn 1 and 2 on the last lap. Just kind of screwed myself, got loose, and haven't really got loose off turn 2 all night, but until it mattered, right? We're pretty gutted.
Absolutely. How much in that final run there, Tanner, how much is it on your mind? How much do you have to weigh the fact that it's you or Cody Gibson if you end up winning?
A lot, because Cody was wrecked out and they were talking about it. So that was maybe we'll say that's why I got 2nd. I was taking care of my buddy. But no, shout out Frank, man. He just beat me to the line. He beat me on that last lap. I thought we had it. I really thought it was going to be cool to come up here and talk to y'all. It's still cool to talk to y'all, of course, but man, oh man, damn it, it sucks.
It sucks. Heartbreak at its worst. It was a really great effort to get up there and give it a shot and be there in the running at the very end. Had some great shots. Had a 3-wide battle for the win with 2 laps to go. It was pretty awesome. I'm sure you enjoy watching it back. But I tell you what, Tanner, we got one more race to go next week. Another opportunity to get another win on the board this season before we square up for the next season as well. I tell you what, we're gonna open up the floor to you to say any hays and highs to anyone out there you got watching.
I just want to say, I'm bummed now, but if I would have thought I'd had this season in February, just some months ago, I would have been ecstatic, right? So I'm down now, but looking back on it, I've had a good season, right? We just got one more race, go out there and try to win, and maybe my teammate Cody Gibson can hoist up the trophy. I want to send a shout out to Greg Mitchell. He did everything in his power to help me tonight, and I still choked it away at the end. But so I wrote him, told him thank you, but figured we need to thank him here. I want to thank y'all for doing the broadcast, of course. And, yep, all my 5 Kings Motorsports teammates. And, yep, good luck to Cody next week.
All right, there we have it. Runner-up finisher Tanner Marr, driver of the 4, comes home in P2. And that brings us to the big winner on the day, who I believe Thomas caught up with.
I've got Frank DiMaggio. Frank, it's been a long time since we've been able to talk to you here in Victory Lane, but you find your way back into a familiar place for your win number 24 in the Cyber Thunder Racing League. How you doing, Frank?
Oh man, I need a shower. I am one sweaty dude right now. That was an awesome race.
It absolutely was. The 3-wide battle down into turns 1 and 2 with just 2 laps to go. That's probably about as close as you can ask for. We saw a lot of drivers coming down a second time for pit service. Did you ever consider maybe a 2-tire or a 2-stop strategy at the end there, or were you committed to one?
I was committed to one. I ran the first run as long as I could. I couldn't go any further. And then after that, I got out to the lead. I kind of realized, hey, fuel is kind of tight here. I better back up a little bit. So those 2 guys got passed, and then we're just trying to save a few laps just in case something happened. And then with about 5 to go, we started pushing again.
Yeah, we saw you trying to make the pass on the inside of the 55 down there, and kind of just give us some insight here, right? How difficult was it to make the pass on the inside? Ultimately, you were able to do it, but definitely took a little bit longer than I think you were expecting to make the pass for second, and then ultimately the race win.
Yeah, I have a little bit of an advantage where I'm not racing for points. I'm just trying to get the trophy. I don't really know exactly who's fighting for the title, but because of that, I can take a little bit more chances as long as I'm respectful when I do it. But kind of make guys lift a little bit, and we were able to keep it clean. I don't think I got any contact points or any incident counters, and at the end of the day, we were all able to have an awesome finish.
An awesome finish that it certainly was. Congratulations, Frank. You've been gone for a long while, but I want to be the first to congratulate you on finding victory lane in just a handful of starts here in 2025 season 2. Frank, we're going to open up the floor. Anybody you want to say hello to watching you take the checkered flag out here tonight once again?
Just want to say thanks to everyone tuning in, the guys for putting on the broadcast, and definitely going to go back and watch that one. Just everyone in the league welcome me back with open arms, and it's been a lot of fun. Ed and Gary and Jarrett, that's not here, they've allowed me to join their little chat room, and we can help each other out and strategize a little bit. And it's just been a lot of fun these last few weeks. It hasn't gone according to plan with being in a few wrecks and getting caught up and stuff, but we finally had a long green run, kept the nose clean, and able to battle for the win at the end.
All right, Frank. Well, glad to have you back here in the Cyber Thunder Racing League, a familiar place for you, Victory Lane. Congratulations once again. Let's go debrief with Ed and Gary here in tonight's race. But Frank DiMaggio, the winner out here tonight, Arie. I tell you what, I don't think we could have asked for a better finish and a more dramatic finish to the redemption round, the most anticipated race of the season.
Absolutely, that was about as good as it could have gone. I couldn't have pictured that it would go that intense, but here we are at the end of it. And oh, by the way, I did end up getting the stat for us. The last time Frank DiMaggio won a race, it was September 27th of 2022. So it has been quite some time since we've seen that 24 in victory lane. But here in the Irish Hills of Michigan, once again on top. And, well, one more race already, if you could believe it, Tom. One race left in this season.
Yeah, now we know our championship 4 contenders. It's going to be Cody Gibson, who sneaks by into the championship 4 after having what some may say is a dominant season out here, was on the verge of elimination out here tonight, but does stay in contention for next week race at Charlotte. We have Greg Mitchell, driver with 8 wins on the season. You've got Matt Semple, who's been heating up lately. And then you've got Gary Bowman, who was in an incident out here tonight. 4 very different driving styles and 1 championship to crown next week.
That it is. And with that, we can get ready to wrap everything up and recap the action here in Michigan for the penultimate event of the season. Let's take a look at our final results right here. The man on top tonight is Frank DiMaggio in the 24. Tanner Mark comes home in P2. Eric Anderson rounds out the podium in that 43. Chris Rose gets a fantastic 4th place finish tonight out of Greg Mitchell in P5. Mike Stiverson's going to come home in 6th out of Logan Spencer, who got late race damage. He's still going to survive to P7. Andy Cork finishes in P8 ahead of Andrew Caldwell in 9th, and Matt Semple rounds out the top 10.
In 11th place belongs to Brian Dorsey out here tonight. Quiet night for the driver, the number 9, finishes 11th. Larry Bell finishes 12th out here tonight with Nathan Dufton directly behind him. Dustin Ping, one of the drivers taking a 2-stop strategy in the closing laps of tonight's race, finishes 14th. Steven Music in 15th with Jason Raymond. Led a bunch of laps early, what could have been for the 49 out here tonight. Chris Letts is good enough for 17th out here tonight. Brad Holmes finishes 18th. And then rounding out the top 20 is Gary Bowman and Lee Campbell.
In 21st, it's going to be Cody Gibson who got caught up in that wreck halfway through the race. Casey Tomlinson finishes in P22. Ed Jurgen comes home 23rd. Brad Collins finishes 24th. Theodore Todorov 25th. And shotgun on the field is going to be Dave Gaden 4th in the 101 and Philip Van Vliet in the 89.
All right, Arie, that is our field of 27 drivers out here tonight. One more race to decide it all. I think we got one more opportunity to do this here on the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network next week from Charlotte Motor Speedway. What do you say? You want to do this one more time in America's home for racing?
Absolutely. 1 week's time, we'll be back in Charlotte. Hey, out there watching, don't forget to like the stream, subscribe to the Cyber Thunder Broadcast Network. Make sure you don't miss a second of the racing action, and we will see you to crown a champion in 1 week's time for the Tuesday Night Thunder.